Hey everybody, Sayre at Nova Motorcycles again. So this is the second video on this bike. This is a 1951 Norton International 500cc overhead cam model. We talked about the general details of this model before, so if you haven't seen it, go check that one out. Pretty cool bike, again, for its time. Its overhead cams were pretty unheard of for street bikes, so this was a very luxury model back then. So since we talked about it last, we have completed the rocker box rebuild, which is the crux of what this thing was in here for. Now, this is the overhead cam right here inside the rocker box. These are the rockers. They're in the rocker box, surprise, surprise. This whole thing sits on top of this, of the head, opens and closes the valves. Here's these beautiful hairpin valve springs, excuse me, in their glory, exposed glory. Opening and closing the valves, and it's driven by a Bevel-drive, which is on the side of the motor. Basically, a shaft comes up here with a bevel gear, which is not shown at the moment, and turns the cam. So what I have left to do on this is to time it. So I'm going to get a degree wheel, I'm going to get a dial indicator, all that stuff. You won't see any of that. That's how the sausage is made. We'll have some pictures of that up later. But the basics, what I'm going to talk about is what we did on this. Now, this thing leaked like a sieve. I don't think it was ever rebuilt before. There's oil that flows through this cam box, and I had to take it apart and replace stuff that is leaky. So you can sort of see, if you look in there, there's a little bit of cork. Now what that is there's a series of cork washers on both sides of each rocker. They look like this. They come in different thicknesses, and you have to basically choose the thickness so it'll tension it a little bit, because the cork is going to get smushed and relax, and you want it to keep tension on the rocker as it goes. Pretty old school way of doing stuff, just having a piece of cork get smushed in there. But given that this probably lasted about 50 years before leaking horribly, it works pretty well. So that is one of the things that we use to seal. And then the other thing are these little rubber wipers. Here's the ones we took out. They go, because the rocker is exposed and oil is in here, something has to stop oil from running down the whole rocker. So you got these little rubber pieces that go here and here. These ones you cut to size, and they sit with some pressure on the top of it. These ones, the lower ones you also cut, but they're adjustable, so you can actually tighten up the lower ones to get a little more pressure on there, a little more tension if it is leaking a little bit. So pretty simple, even for a complex thing like an overhead cam. But it has to be set up right, that you have to tension them. These are actually under quite a bit of tension because of the pressure. Normally, if I put a motor together like this and it felt like this, I would be big red flags. But they're supposed to be pre-tensioned because they're gonna wear in a little bit. They're gonna get compressed, both the rubber and the cork, and they got to keep enough tension on them to seal. That's the basics of that. There's also, this is my favorite bearing that we did a little Instagram reel about it a little while back. We replaced this bearing in the Bevel-drive. This is a cool double row ball that can take different loads radially, as well as laterally. It's a cool setup. This bearing new is like $250 for this little thing. So not cheap, but it's cool that they're making them still, because I don't think there's many uses for this particular bearing. I think there's one company that does a batch every 5 years or something like that, and we'll pay for it because you can't not use it. So basically, we went through this and we replaced obviously those seals. We replaced the bearings in the cam tower. We replaced all the other seals in the cam tower. It was running great before, and previously we'd done some electrical work on it, put new tires on it and stuff. So when we're done, the idea is that the customer will have a leak-free, nice running vintage Norton International again. So we'll post a video of it running when we're done, and as usual, please like and subscribe to these videos. Thanks.